Well, time now for our weekly tech feature, and we're talking tech giants who are finally facing antitrust probes, and then Elon Musk's plans to develop a product that can read minds. And we'll also be looking at the Facebook Kids app as well and the safety of that. So I'm joined via Skype this morning just to show how tech savvy he is. Stuff magazine publisher Toby Shapshak. You just wanted to show off that you could do this in your car, Toby. Morning.
Well, morning. And it's no ordinary car, I have to tell you. It's this BMW i3, this remarkable electric car that I'm testing that we'll talk about next week. But time for a bit of schadenfreude for people who are critical of big tech, because the US lawmakers have finally cottoned on to how much power these monopolies have and how difficult it is to rein them in and keep control of them. So the Department of Justice has said that it's going to start investigating online technology giants. It doesn't name them, but everyone's assuming it's Google and Amazon and Apple and Facebook, obviously. There were some jokes on Twitter about, does Microsoft feel left out that it's not included in this Department of Justice investigation? But I'm quite sure they're very happy not to be. But the point is that for years, critics have said, what is the problem with anti-competitive authorities, that they haven't noticed how massive these companies have become and how destructive their behavior has become in terms of competition for other smaller firms.
And invasive also.
You've had quite a few big name investors, have mentioned this: George Soros, Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the man who invented the World Wide Web. All of these people have come out and said it's quite dangerous how much power they have, because not only do they have power over now, but it's impossible for another social network or search engine or online retailer to come into the market and try and compete against the likes of a Google or an Amazon or a Facebook, because not only do they have such a massive exposure, but they've got so much data and they're able to do so much with that data, and it just locks out competition. Yeah. And of course that kills innovation, and it kills potential other new developments. So it's the antitrust time for these massive giants. Microsoft found itself under this kind of scrutiny, as did IBM before that. And this could be a game changer for tech firms. All right. It's going to be very interesting to see how this unfolds.
Let's talk about game changers and Elon Musk and what his plans are with this, the latest offering from his Neuralink company. I don't know if I want Elon Musk to be able to read my mind.
Well, I don't think it's going to be him specifically, but it's certainly going to
anyone for that matter.
A little device that he makes. And of course, the photographs always show it next to a penny. It's tiny. It can have nearly 4,000 little electrodes. The interesting thing is there's a quite remarkable machine that will literally sew it into the top of your brain. It will sew these little electrodes into the top of your cortex, and it will allow for some kind of reading of the brain. It's very early stuff. Ultimately, we would imagine that the integration would allow for much more sophisticated things. But for the time being, it's just the ability to kind of have some neural interface, an electronic interface with our brain. Remember, our brains are these quite remarkable, sophisticated electromagnetic transmitting devices. The tiny little signals that go from electron to electron and neuron to neuron are small electrical signals. So there is some pervading logic that the interface could potentially work. But I can't say I'm going to let someone sew something into my brain.
I still say no thanks. Still no thanks. Just a little bit of time left, Toby, to talk about this Facebook Kids app. Lots of questions around the safety of it and if kids in South Africa are actually using this thing.
Well, would you believe it? Facebook made a product and it's not safe and it doesn't do what it said on the box.
And it targets your children. Yeah.
Targets your children, and it's broken the privacy laws, and it's let them speak to people they shouldn't. I can't get figures for how many people are using it in South Africa, but it turns out in the week that Facebook is fined $5 billion by the Federal Trade Commission for failing to uphold an agreement that it signed in 2011 that it would tell its users if there was a data breach. Sure enough, there's another data breach. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, can you, Rebecca?
No.
I mean, its potential is quite huge. So obviously there's sensitivity about who children can speak to online. You don't want non-authorized people and or pedophiles speaking to your kids. So Facebook had an app that allowed parents to set who they were authorized to speak to, who they could, who they couldn't, etc. And if a kid was invited into a chat group by another kid, it allowed anyone in that chat group to speak to them. So yeah, the potential is huge that it could have been exploited. Something could have been done with it. And obviously, you get what happens when it's Facebook, because Facebook simply doesn't keep
the lines get very blurry at some point. All right, we'll leave it there for now. We'll let you put some foot there on your fancy car, because I can see you've been cruising for us, but I know you want to test it out. So Toby, you do that safely though. Watch out for other people on the road. Thank you very much, Toby Shapshak. He's our tech expert, just keeping us abreast of the latest in tech. Yeah.